thing you want to do is power on the system. And it may be necessary to plug in the monitor. Monitor is plugged in, and it may be necessary to turn on your TV's power, your monitor's power, and we'll wait to see if it's working. Okay, you will get a screen similar to that. Next thing you want to do is turn on the power to the system through a switch here. Next, the next control switch here turns on the rest of the system. So we have this monitor here, and the monitors for the system, and everything else powering the system. So after about 30 seconds, you'll be taken to your desktop homepage, and you can click the SBPA icon, and it will take you to the simple home screen. Everything will load in a short amount of time. The system says good. This page is for maintenance purposes, but is not necessary for the operation of the simulator. Through this page, your computer can be accessed remotely, but again, it is not necessary for operating the simulator. We can click Start, and this page will load, and it will take around a minute, 30 seconds to a minute to load. After the system has loaded, it will take some time for the graphics to load, and you'll be taken to this home page. And at this point, the graphics have loaded. And from this screen, we have a dashboard on the left in which we can load a different airport. So I can put in, for example, SBPA and load airport. And here we are. Go to this airport. I can choose any number of runways, any number of approaches. So I can, for example, if I'm approaching runway 11 on an ILS approach, I can choose to be 3 miles away from the airport or 10 miles away from the airport. I can go to a spot on the ground at the airport, any number of spots from this list. So for example, I want to go to transient overnight 2. Go to this airport, and it will load the spot on the screen. But in addition to loading airport, we can load the aircraft. So these aren't necessary here. General aviation, heavy metal, not necessary. So we can go from helicopters, and we can choose R22 DG, R22 HSI. We'll most commonly be choosing R22 HSI or R44 HSI. So R22 HSI, Robinson R22 Beta 2. And default paint and open aircraft. And moving on down this dashboard, we can move on to set time. So we can change the time of day, which as you can see, will take you to nighttime. The airport can change the date. You can have it selected to where the system always tracks the real date and time through the computer, but it is not necessary. You can also change the weather. So I click Set Weather. It takes me into this window, and I have a little dashboard here where I can change the visibility. I can move it down. It will change the weather. I can increase precipitation, storms, turbulence, and so on. And it will change all of these for turbulence. I can also change by themselves wind speeds, wind gusts, shear direction, turbulence levels. And for visibility and visibility and precipitation, I can change the tops and bases of clouds, the type of cloud, so I can do few cumulonimbus, I can do cumulonimbus overcast, and so on and so forth. I can also change to completely clear weather, VFR, marginal VFR, Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3. And it's important before you leave this screen, or at the end of your lesson, for example, if you want to make clear weather for the next instructor, to hit clear weather. Moving on to weight and fuel. So I can change the weight of the aircraft, I can change the amount of fuel, and I can change the center of gravity. So if upon takeoff you feel like the helicopter is wanting to move in any direction, you can change the center of gravity accordingly. Okay, for failed equipment, it takes me into this window, and I can choose any number of failures. So, for example, fueled with the wrong gas, water and fuel, bird strike, smoke in cockpit, and so on and so forth. So from these, there's a drop-down menu. I can change the average time until failure, the exact time until the failure, and some other settings, airspeed, altitude until failure, and then I can make it completely inoperative. Okay, if I want to change anything, I can do so, but if I want them to all be working after changing, I want to go here, reset all systems to operational. So this tab indicates world, so things that would happen in the environment. This tab goes on to aircraft, so a number of light system failures, things of that nature, instrument failures, pitot, static, vacuum failures, engines. You can make yourself have an engine failure, a magneto failure. Helicopters, we don't need wings, but we can make nav aid failure, and so on. So all the failures are within this window upon their respective tabs. And further down on this dashboard, we have the pause option. So pretty self-explanatory. You can pause the system here, and you can also use twice the speed, 4 times the speed, or 6 times the speed. If you're flying over a certain section and want to make the system faster, you can fast forward. And if you see on the right hand of the screen, there's a separate dashboard, and it displays heading, altitude, speed, and climb angle. So I can edit all of these. Very important to come over here and pause before I do so. Otherwise, it will set you up for a crash and you'll have to restart. But for example, I can change my heading to 157 from 257, and I'll be facing a different direction. I can go up from 187 feet to 1,187 feet and make my speed at 100 and 0 climb angle. Take myself off of pause, and I will be in that position. Also, I have my aircraft icon within this screen. I can move myself along the map as long as I'm paused, and I will go to that location, unpause, and I will be there. I have a number of different options that the map is going to display. For example, low-end route IFR, high-end route, which we won't need, sectional for VFR, or textured. Okay, you can see at this point, we can do sectional, for example. I'm out over the water, I'm paused, I can move my aircraft, and now I'm over the land, and I can unpause. And we see at the bottom that we have the option for quit all or shut down all. Quit all will quit this application and return you to your default desktop page. Shut down all will shut down the computer completely.